Welcome, everyone, to the NFL Presidential Address. I got Andy Lang joining us, Matt Joseph, and Ralph Michaels, and a happy Monday to everybody. Super Bowl weekend, last show of the year. Ignoring Andy for a sec, Matt and Ralph, it's been a pleasure, man. We'll be back next year for more, and it was an honor doing this with you guys. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. Well, let's start with you, Ralph, and just how are you, my friend? What's going on?
Oh, I'm doing well. It's college basketball is where I needed it to be and picking up nicely. And I'll tell you what, our college basketball tip-off show has been absolutely on fire. It's been great guests and been very enjoyable doing it. Even though this is football, I do want to mention, guys, the best download I've ever done is the college basketball stat sheet. It's updated twice a week on Mondays and on Fridays. You get updated stats, conference-only numbers. Take a look. Go to WagerTalk.com. Go to my page. Free download. If you bet college basketball, you'd be remiss to not download the WagerTalk college basketball.
Awesome stuff. Matt, what's going on with you, brother? We just spoke to you on WagerTalk today. Gave out a promo code PROP19, $19 for all of Matt's props for the Super Bowl. What's going on, man?
Well, I could say I haven't added any wins in the 4 hours since we last spoke here, but doing well. Nice little run in college basketball. The NFL props, we did really well 2 weeks ago, and I've already got 3 up so far, and there'll be plenty more as the week goes along. So looking forward to talking about it with you guys.
Excellent stuff. Andy Lang, you've never been on the show. I asked you to come on because you're so good in props, and we have you on Wager Talk today as well. How are you, and what's going on over there?
I am shockingly continuing to hold on to the number one spot for NBA handicapping at WagerTalk.com with my player props. That's not just number one with player props. That is number one in all of NBA handicapping. It's so cool and such a great run that we've been on. NBA props is what I'm focusing on now. Golf, I'm on a 4-0 PGA run with golf. NASCAR right around the corner. That's why I was brought into Wager Talk. But we're going to wrap up Super Bowl and a great NFL season and NBA props, golf, NASCAR, all that stuff. It's been a really, really good 2021.
Excellent
for sure.
Excellent stuff. Well, I'm on my way. I'm coming for you in the NBA. You've probably about 100 units ahead of me right now. So I've given you your head start, Andy. Watch out. Okay, boys, it's the NFL Presidential Address Super Bowl week, and here's how it's going down. We're gonna take a look at the side and the total, and then we're gonna delve into a ton, and I mean a ton of proposition bets. No more important than whether I'm going to have a sesh before, during, or after the game. So, Andy, let's start there. When will my sesh be?
It's definitely going to be before. I'll take the under.
Okay, there you go.
For sure.
Okay, Kansas City, -3. Let's start there. Ralph, regale us with your incredible information.
Well, there's not much. I'm going to say what a lot of handicappers say. You know what, guys? It's the Super Bowl. It doesn't mean you bet more on this game than you have in the past. Yes, you may play a lot of prop bets, spread them out, have fun, enjoy the game. I have some numbers that Mr. Ryan gave me from Sports Memo,
Beautiful.
John Ryan, and he uses the same database I do. And so this is a lot of stuff you get from me. But did you guys know that the Super Bowl team with the lower win percentage has gone 10-4 straight up, 13-1 ATS? That leans with, of course, Tampa Bay. Games on grass, there have been 31 games on grass. They've actually gone 20 overs and 11 unders. There have been 23 Super Bowls on turf. They've actually gone 10 over and 13 under. Bruce Arians, this isn't really a home crowd. It's much different. Bruce Arians now 10-1 lifetime as a home dog of 3 or fewer points in his career. So when he's a small home dog, he's done well. And Brady, of course, 5-0 under in Super Bowls. We'll talk about that more when scoring 26 or fewer points. 4-0 to the over if he scores 27 or more points. So 26.5 is your number as far as that's concerned. So, to me, this wouldn't even be a play. If this Super Bowl game were being played on week 14, part of a normal weekend card, it wouldn't make my card. I'm going to have just a small opinion on Tampa Bay plus the points. I think offenses are closer than most people say, and of course the better defense with the Bucs.
Ralph Michaels, everyone. Guys, we've got two youngins, at least from Ralph and my perspective on the show, Andy Lang and Matt Joseph. And Matt, I'll go to you first. Just focus on the answer to this question. When was the last time you watched a Super Bowl not on grass?
Me personally being on grass or the game being played on grass? I'm just kidding. I've never had grass before, but I don't know. I don't really pay attention to that sort of thing. When was give me the trivia answer.
Andy, you understand my question. Give it a go.
Oh man, that is such a good one. I would have to. Is it Jacksonville's? When Jacksonville last hosted?
That was the last time you were on grass or not on grass while watching the Super Bowl.
The game was
Oh,
played
you
on
idiots.
grass.
Well, anyway, it's been about 8 years since I've watched a Super Bowl on grass, but I watched about 20 in a row on grass, and I can assure you every game seemed to go over. Matt, Ralph likes Tampa Bay a small amount +3. Where are you going in this game?
Well, as I've said for all this stuff that I've done on the videos, in order for me, before I even look at the props, I kind of had to play the game out in my head and decide how I thought it was going to go. I came up with the score of, still haven't decided, 27-23 or 27-24. I think the Bucs win. I like the under. I think that the Bucs defense doesn't get enough credit here. I think that the Chiefs offensive line being as banged up as it is without several key starters is going to be an issue. I think we saw how Aaron Rodgers at times was under pressure by the Bucs, and I think that Patrick Mahomes will do the same. I'm not worried about the turf toe. I'm not worried about any of that other stuff with Mahomes. I think we'll get Mahomes' best effort, but I think that everybody is so in love with Andy Reid and so in love with Patrick Mahomes here. And, there's Tom Brady on the other side. I think, and as we get into the props that are going to correlate with this, I think it's a 27-24, 27-23 Bucs victory. So give me the Bucs and the under. I'm waiting to place the under bet, hopefully till Friday or Saturday, because I think maybe we'll get another half point moved up or so. But that's kind of where I'm leaning in this game.
Matt, what did you say? I had a comment. Yes. So you mentioned that Tampa Bay's defense doesn't get the respect they deserve. What respect is that, dude? Is it the fact that they're 21st in the league and against the pass? Is it the fact that they're 18th in the league at allowing quarterbacks to have an incredible QPR at 96? Is it the fact that Washington put 23 points up and Washington didn't even have a quarterback? Is it the fact that they average letting in more than 20 points a game all season long? What part? Oh, it must just be the rushing D. Number one in the league, right? That's it? Because everything else about their D stinks.
Well, I wouldn't say that. But see, like the Washington game, they didn't. I imagine they didn't take the Washington game seriously, and they didn't really do their due diligence on Taylor Heineke. They figured they were going to win that game, and they just weren't ready for it. And then they made the stops when they had to. I like Todd Bowles as a defensive coordinator. I like Devin White. I think Devin White's the longest of long shots to be the MVP in this game. I think that there is some. Carlton Davis is a really good corner there, and their front line's really good. That's all you need in the NFL nowadays is a really good defensive line. Look, the Eagles defense, when they beat the Patriots, their defensive line was really good, and they out-shootouted the Patriots. So I think the Bucs defense is pretty good.
I have to jump in, Prez. I think that's stupid. I think that statement you made was stupid. Teams want to run the ball first. Tampa Bay, you cannot run the ball. Therefore, they give up pass yards. Tampa Bay is number 6 in the league, allowing 5.12 yards per play. Kansas City is quite a bit down there when you're looking at those defenses. So when you're talking about the number one category, you're allowing 327 yards, you're allowing 5.19 yards per play, and you have that rush defense. Yes, that is a top 10 defense, top 8 defense, maybe better than that the way they played down the stretch.
Yeah, what he said above me.
Listen, factually, they're the number 6 defense. They're also 4th in sacks, Ralph, which should bode well for them, given that the O-line for Kansas City is in rough shape. But, man, like, I'm listening to people on the air, Jesse Palmer last night, talk about this vaunted Tampa Bay defense, and I'm sitting here going, you're not even the best defense in football, man. You're not the Bears of '85. You're not Ray Lewis's Baltimore Ravens. You don't deserve the word vaunted in front of you. But you can call me...
Matt didn't use the word vaunted.
Jesse Palmer did.
Oh, why were you jumping on that shit then? There was no reason.
Ralph, I'm entitled to my own opinion here about the Kansas City D.
And if
you want to call it opinion, stupid, that's fine.
Enough for Matt.
Andy, okay. What do you like side-wise, total-wise in this game?
I like listening to you guys. As far as what do I like, 3 is such a weak sauce number from the books. Like, come on, either make it 3.5 or 2.5. But 3 is just, I don't understand how anybody can have a really, really strong opinion about a 3-point line. I lean the over in this game. I think the injuries on the Chiefs' offensive line are big, but I think that means you're going to see Patrick Mahomes rolling out more. And because Tampa Bay's defense is so good against the run, I think that means more throwing. I think Mahomes could get 50-plus attempts. Kelsey should have a big game. Tyreek Hill should have a big game. And Brady is just going to have to keep matching and matching and matching. These teams have really started off games strong. I think this first quarter, they're going to come out of the gates with really strong offenses because, like I said, there's no nervous factor in this game. Nobody in this game is nervous. The coaches aren't. The quarterbacks aren't. The coordinators aren't. And I think we see points galore. I think this is a nonstop scoring game. I think the weakness on the Chiefs is their defense, obviously, and Brady will pick them apart. And I think the weakness in the Buccaneers is their secondary, and Mahomes should pick them apart. I see a lot of points in this game. This will be one of the rare Super Bowls where I'm looking at.
Andy, I mean, that's surprising given that Matt and Ralph think that the Tampa Bay defense is godlike. Oh, Matt, I'm gonna miss you, brother.
Jesus God. Hey, if Prez would listen to what people say instead of looking at who's in the chat room saying hi to him, he would realize
Ralph,
what you
I'm not
said.
involved in the chat room.
He said that the defense is better than Kansas City's, and if you want to argue that point, let's keep this on point.
They are definitely better than Kansas City, guys. I've got a 5%. I've got a 5% play up. It's Monday. You guys can grab it for $9. It includes the side and about 10 props. Most of them we're going to go through in this episode. Okay.
I do have. I do want to bring up one point, a serious point now. I don't do many props. I look and I tried to find a few. Obviously, you guys are going to talk about some. So I want to ask one important question to Matt and Andy. Matt, you talked about having to play the game through your head. Do you split your props that you're going to win them all if the game gets played out? You're going to lose them all if the game doesn't get played out? Or do you find some middle-of-the-road props that really doesn't matter how the game's going to be played out? Let's say, number of sacks or field goals or things like that. Are you an all-of-nothing person? Or do you try to split them out that if there's some variance, you're not going to go 10-0 or 0-10 in the perfect situation? Both of you guys, because I think it's an important question for our viewers to know when they're playing their props. I don't think you want to weigh them all on just one or two factors that you think are going to happen when you're able to split them out and finding value amongst different situations.
Matt, go ahead. I'll let you start off with this one.
All right, so for me, and I'll answer the question in slightly a different way. So for me, Ralph, I think about 80 to 85% of my props will go along with the result in terms of props I really think are going to win. Like as I talked about on Wage Talk today, I think Leonard Fournette scores. I'm going to put some money down on that. I think he could score twice. I think he could be an MVP. Now, granted, that's probably not going to happen, but at least how I think the game could go, I'm going to sprinkle a little bit on that. And there's a couple of long shots that I will put some money down that don't necessarily go along with what I think, but the price is nice. I talked about this on Wage Talk today as well, that I think Tyreek Hill or Mecole Hardman could have the longest rush of any single player in this game. Now, chances are if they have a long rush, they may actually score a touchdown in that play. So it kind of goes against what I'm thinking, but the price is right for me to take one of those props. So I would say about 85% of the props correlate to what I think the game's going to go. And 15% of the props are, boy, I really like this price. I'm going to take a shot on it as well.
I don't take a whole lot of consideration into the final score of the game. It doesn't make a difference on my props. I'll give you an example. Mike Evans, I just added that to my card to score a touchdown. I think he's the red zone target, especially when they get inside the 5-yard line. You know, Brady likes throwing to Gronk, but Gronk has not looked very good. They haven't done that patented split Gronk out to the side, throw a little fade, easy touchdown. Instead, it's been Mike Evans. He got 2 touchdowns against them the first game they played. And then when he got the Marshawn Lattimore treatment against the Saints, he had 1 catch, and that was for a touchdown. So a prop like that, I think Evans matches up good against the secondary. Like I said, you can't guard height. If you don't have the height, you can't guard him. He's great for those jump balls. He gets a couple of extra weeks to heal up that knee. That's a prop that it really doesn't matter what the final score of the game is. I look at that, I see value that it's plus. It was plus 125 when I played it. It's all the way down to plus 110. I still think there's value in there because when they get in close, if Fournette isn't punching it in, I think Mike Evans is the next obvious touchdown target. Doesn't matter the outcome of the game, but I think Evans is going to get a touchdown. So that's kind of how I look at a lot of props. I don't try and play the game out. I look at stats, trends, and different things like that.
Ralph. Okay, boys, let's get into it. Let's start with QB props, passing, QB throwing touchdowns, etc., etc. I'll give you the 3 that I am taking as of now. I'm taking Mahomes and Brady, 2 individual props, both over 2.5 touchdowns passing. Mahomes is minus 150. Tom Brady is plus 130. I love both of those props. Every prop I'm giving out, I'm betting. And I'm also taking Brady over 301 yards. Those are my 3 quarterback props that I'm taking. Andy, we'll start with you. Feel free to talk about some of mine and give us some of yours.
Well, I played this. I saw, it's still up there. You can still get it. It's juicy. I've gone over this. Tom Brady over 1.5 touchdowns is minus 230. I would still play that. I don't normally recommend playing props like this. He's done that in all the playoff games, and he's also done it in 10 straight games, 16 out of 19. And like I said, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say Tom Brady's going to be a big part of the Tampa Bay offense. I think he's going to throw the ball a lot, and I think minus 230 is way, way low for over 2. They're not going to win this game kicking field goals. They're not. They're going to have to score touchdowns. I've gone over that. 35 points is the magic number. When Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, and Mahomes play, in their 4 losses, the other team has gotten to 34.7 points. That's the magic number, 35. The Buccaneers need to win this game. They need to get to 35 points. You don't get there by kicking field goals, and they're not going to be running the ball in for 5 touchdowns. So that's the one that I go to. I think it's if you want to throw it in with any part, if you're a parlay bettor, that's a really good parlay piece. I have said before, I lean over. Most Super Bowls, the values are in the nose and the unders, but those aren't fun to root for at Super Bowl parties. So everyone goes overs. I've made a lot of money in the years going unders. This is going to be a different year. I'm going to take overs. I will be on Mahomes over passing yards, Brady over passing yards. The only unders I will be looking at are some Kansas City Chiefs running backs unders.
Which makes total sense. Matt, what do you like quarterback prop-wise?
I feel like I'm either the devil or the angel on the other shoulder because I'm the guy who likes the under, and I actually think. Look, first off, we're different, Andy and I, and we've talked about this on the Prop It Up show. I would never take a prop that's minus 230. I mean, it's probably going to hit, and if you are the type of guy who takes that sort of bet, then go for it. I am not the type. I don't like these props where they're minus 230 because sure, he's probably going to do it, but if for some reason it doesn't happen, you're spending a little bit more money to try and counteract the whole minus 230 thing. So if it doesn't hit, then you lose a little bit more. I think he'll hit, so if you want to, go for it. I actually think the under for Brady's passing yards is going to be something I'm going to look at. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait till Super Bowl Sunday and let everybody bet it up and bet it up and bet it up because, Brady's going to throw the ball, but there's no guarantee for as high as the number could go. He did only throw for 199 yards against the Saints in that game. He only threw for 280 last week. So, people look at that Washington game. I mean, Washington's defense, you can't run on them. So they threw it a lot. So to me, I'm looking at the under for Brady's yards. I think there'll be some value there come kickoff time. I'm not going to lock it in yet. I'm going to wait and let it go up, or I'm going to let the juice on the under be better. If I might either see more yards and a better price, or I might see the under and like a plus 120 or a plus 125. It's all different. And the biggest thing that Andy and I will say is it's all depending upon how you see the Super Bowl. Your props may not line up with mine, may not line up with yours, Prez, may not line up with Andy's. So that's why I'm saying everybody should have their own thoughts on the Super Bowl and bet it accordingly when it comes to the props.
Okay, fair enough. Ralph, do you have anything to add in regard to passing props?
I do like Mahomes over 39.5 yards because I think he is going to throw the ball deep. I think he's going to try. I think he completes one of those. And, I don't know if this has to do with passing, but I like Mahomes over 19.5 rush yards. We're talking about Tampa Bay scrambling. Well, guess what? He's not going to wait. He is going to take off this time, and he is not going to slide early. So I think that's an advantage. One thing passing – I'll just bring this in here because there's no perfect place to put it. But like if you have a book that has over 10 players and will they score a touchdown? Yes or no? I blindly play the nose because there's only going to be 3 or 4 guys that score touchdowns. These books think about the yes, the no's, and they price them because so many people bet yeses. How many people bet no touchdowns? But if your book offers enough variety where you can just blanket the book and just bet no on everybody scoring a touchdown, even if you think it's going to be a decent size scoring game, price it out. What's the odds of 8 different people scoring touchdowns? It's not going to happen. Guys score multiple touchdowns. So I just throw that in as advice that I've used in the past. I did not do it this Super Bowl because I missed the early numbers. Usually I'm down at the windows right when the Hilton releases them. I wasn't there and you lose some juice on it, so I didn't do it. But for years, it's been incredibly profitable doing it that way.
Unbelievable advice, Ralph, and it makes total sense. And it segues. I mean, we're going to talk about rushing props, but instead we'll go with what Ralph was saying and talk touchdown props. And here's what I'm betting. I'm betting Kelsey to score the first touchdown at plus 650. Now, obviously, these are hard bets to win. That's why they're plus 650. But my take is this. Kelsey is even money, slight amount of juice to score a touchdown at all. So everybody is expecting Kelsey to score a touchdown. If you assume Kansas City is going to get, on average, 4 touchdowns, well, we only need him to get the first one. Now, obviously, Brady and the Tampa Bay Bucks can score a touchdown and negate that entire bet. But at plus 650, given that I expect Kelsey to score a touchdown, I'm going to take it for the first touchdown. The other touchdown bets I'm making is Kelsey, 2 or more at plus 333, and Fournette, 2 or more at plus 700, which I think is probably my favorite of those props value-wise. Matt, we'll go to you first this time.
I mean, I said it in the first part. I mean, I like Fournette to score. I know this is where shopping and getting the best price comes in. I've seen some plus 120s. I've seen some plus 110s. I saw an even. So make sure to, find the book that gives you the best price. I said, much like you, I'm sprinkling on 2 or more touchdowns for Leonard Fournette. I also like Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller has treated me well so far this year. In terms of even if Antonio Brown plays, I would say besides not even Chris Godwin, I would say besides Mike Evans, he trusts Scotty Miller almost as much as anybody else. Maybe Cameron Brate's up there, Gronk, but I think Scotty Miller to score a touchdown. Once again, shop around. You can find some plus 375s, plus 425s. On the Kansas City side, I'm high on Mecole Hardman. I think Mecole Hardman could do something here in terms of a touchdown. The touchdown props when it comes to the whole portfolio will be some of my smallest bets because you're going to get some value here. So I would say it's like a 1/10 of a unit, a 1/5 of a unit, whatever it is, but you could sprinkle a little bit more. And if you hit 1 or 2 of those, you could cover the losses on the rest of them. So if you're doing touchdown bets, make these your smallest bets in the evening.
Andy Lang?
I'm doing my Clyde Edwards-Helaire underdance because I can't believe they put this number at 48.5 rushing and receiving. I mean, I thought he tore his knee in half on that injury, and then he was out for a while. And all of a sudden, he's back against Buffalo, where he rushes 6 times for 7 yards and he catches 1 pass for 0 yards. So Le'Veon Bell's going to be involved. Darrell Williams is going to be involved. This is just not a rushing team. And as Ralph pointed out, all the stats on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, this is a really, really good rushing defense. I don't see Clyde Edwards-Helaire getting near 48.5 yards. I will be adding that to my betting package. And one thing that we haven't mentioned, this is so important out there, everyone. I cannot stress this enough. Check the rules of your sports book before you make these props. Different sports books have different rules. It has screwed people over time and time again. Make sure you know how your sports book is going to rule on the national anthem or the coin toss or whatever prop. It is so important. And if you don't know the rules and you get screwed by something, it's your fault because you didn't do the research. It takes 30 seconds to look up the rules at your sports book. But as far as I love your Travis Kelce. You and I have been on Travis Kelce all year. But I will be focusing on Clyde Edwards-Helaire to not be a factor.
Okay, there you go.
game.
Andy Lang. You can find him at WagerTalk. Same with Ralph Michaels and, of course, Matt Joseph over at Sports Memo. Guys, receiving yard props. Andy just gave out one. I've been riding Kelce and Hill all year. I'm not going to release it to my clients. Both are just such massive numbers. But a secret that I'm not going to tell anyone is I'll probably just end up betting on them anyway because I've been doing it all year and I kind of owe them. They've made me a lot of money. But I'm not going to release it. It's just too high. The only actual receiving yards that I am going to release to my clients is Gronk over 27.5. Now, I get it. This guy is just non-existent 90% of the time. Brady's going to break Evans, Brown, Miller, Godwin, anybody but Gronk. With that said, I only think we need one catch from Gronk to cover 27.5. And I'm going to take that bet. I think we will see a bit more Gronk this time around. That's my only receiving yards prop bet. Ralph, I'll go to you first. Anything to talk about in this regard?
No, I didn't bet any. So next
Well,
category.
how about next person? Jeff Saturday, what do you like? No, for receiving
Gronk?
yards.
For receiving yards. Well, I don't like Gronk. I will take his under receiving yards easily. I think the books have gotten smart. They finally are not giving us Kelce at this 85.5 yard mark. They finally caught on that Travis Kelce is a really good receiver. I do like what Matt said about Hardman, but I just think I just think there's no way to stop Tyreek Hill. I don't think the Bucs have anybody in that secondary to slow him down. I could see 2 huge plays from Tyreek Hill, and it could be a bubble screen that he breaks for a long one. It could be a deep pass. So I'm gonna go with the stars in this one. I do like playing a lot of times some of the lesser tier guys like Matt said with Hartman. I'm gonna go with Tyreek Hill and over his receiving yards. He has torched teams in big games this year. So I'll go with Tyreek Hill, whatever his receiving yards are on your sports books. Looking at, for example, DraftKings right here has him over 92.5. I think he's an easy candidate for over 100 yards.
No, listen, you can't argue with that. It's been money all year. Guys, thanks for watching the show. Please hit that like button. We really needed only 25 likes so far. It's how we get build up a following on our YouTube channel. Engagement, likes, length of listening to the show, etc., etc. So all we ask is for you to just hit that like button. Matthew, where are you going receiving yard wise?
All right, so I have a couple in this kind of general area. We've talked about Gronk, and it's a bet I hit 2 weeks ago, and I'm going to try it once again. The first reception by Gronk over 7.5 yards. This is one of those things where I've seen 7.5, 8.5, and 9.5, so make sure to shop around for the specific book. And the reason why I'm doing it, over his last 5 games, he's had 6 receptions. Those receptions were for 29, 14, 18, 11, 33, and 25 yards. Gronk had 6 catches in that game against the Chiefs during the regular season. He had 6, 9, 8, 29, and 48 yards. And the Chiefs are allowing around almost 11 yards per catch to tight ends, about 5 receptions and almost 60 yards. So therefore, I think there's some value there for Gronk. I like the longest reception over for Tyreek Hill, 27.5 yards. We all know what he did in that Tampa Bay game. He had 3 catches that long. The Bucs have allowed 24 or more receptions of that length so far this season. Calvin Ridley's had a bunch of them. A bunch of those guys have. So you could throw deep on these guys. And the last one is, and this is a contingency, if Le'Veon Bell plays, I like the under 2.5 receptions for Darrell Williams. I think Williams could play, but you're asking for him in 30% snaps to get 3 catches. I don't think he will with 3 running backs to feed. So I think under 2.5 receptions for Darrell Williams comes into play if Le'Veon Bell is active
Great
on
show,
Sunday.
everybody. Defensive proposition bets. I only have one. Andy, I'll go to you first. I'm taking over 3.5 sacks. Look, I think you're going to see Jones get into the backfield. Brady's certainly not a mobile quarterback, but he does have a quick release. But I think we could get 2 sacks out of Kansas City. And I think Tampa Bay, they're sacking everybody right now. And Kansas City's O-line has issues. Even with Mahomes running around in the backfield, we can get a couple of sacks, maybe 3 from Tampa Bay. I think we could get up to 5 sacks in this game. I'm going to go with over 3.5. Andy?
Yeah, I agree with that. I would also look at Jason Pierre-Paul over half a sack because it's plus 120. This guy is a veteran. He knows his stuff. And with the big injury to Eric Fisher, which kudos to everyone talking about that injury. Like a lot of times some of these offensive line injuries go under the radar. Nobody talks about them. This is an injury everyone's talking about. This is a big, big deal. And Jason Pierre-Paul is smart enough and savvy enough to know he can probably exploit it in some way. Maybe it might be a delayed blitz from somebody. He is probably going to get there. You've got Mahomes on the bad toe. His toe will probably be okay, but all we need is one at plus 120. He got a sack against Kansas City the last time they played, so I love getting plus 120 on Jason Pierre-Paul.
Nothing better than hearing Jeff Saturday talk O-line. Matt Joseph, what do you like?
Are we sure that JPP's half a sack is for the half amount of fingers he has? Are we sure that's not
come on.
I'm just saying that's my. All right, but I don't do a ton of defensive props. I do like Anthony Hitchens over 5.5 solo and assisted tackles. He's had a couple of down games as of late, so there's some value there. He's gone over this number a bunch of times during the regular season. I was talking to another person who does props, and they kind of opened me up to the defensive guys. Haven't had a chance to break it down because you can kind of find trends as to what position does the best. 2 weeks ago, I had the over on Daniel Sorensen's tackles, and it was because the Bills throw the ball so much that the safeties and corners are making a lot of the tackles. So if you look at how these offenses kind of run, you could kind of decide, linebackers, cornerbacks, safeties, which group can find the most tackles out there.
Ralph Michaels, any thoughts on defensive props?
I will pass on those. I took a quick look, and I normally don't dive into them too much, so I haven't had any.
Okay, guys. Kicking stat. I like Butker under 8.5. I don't see a ton of field goals in this game personally. I also just want to. I like these teams going for it on fourth down as well. So. That should mitigate some field goals here or there. Under 8.5 for me on a kicking prop. Ralph, I'm guessing you're just going to move it to Matt?
I am, Matt. Help me out here so I just don't look like the goofy guy in the middle with nothing to say.
Well, technically, you'd be the goofy guy in the corner. But, yeah, no, you have plenty to say, Ralph. The one bet I pretty much play every year, it's one of my favorites. It doesn't hit every year, but it hits more often than not, it feels like, is the yes, both teams will make a 33-yard field goal or more. Ryan Suckup has kicked 8 field goals this postseason. Harrison Butker's kicked 4. I know that this is the type of game that's probably not going to be won by field goals, but then again, I'm on the under. So I think if I say this, Andy's going to roll his eyes side eye at me because he's got the over. If you think this is an under game, then you probably will take some field goal props because you think that there's going to be some settling for field goals. Harrison Butker can't kick extra points, but he kicks 50-yard field goals pretty well. And then Ryan Suckup is, you've got 2 coaches who probably are going to be gutsy. So to me, if you like the over, you're not touching the field goal props. If you like the under, the field goal props come into play. I always play the 33-yard field goal or longer one. But once again, shop around because there's books that have 35, 36. So make sure you find the right book and find the lowest number because I think that,
Andy Lang?
comes into play here.
First off, I love the Gonzaga thing behind Matt. That is dope, dude. It's really cool. I love it. Matt and I have a different opinion about the game. I've talked about this before. I'm going Tampa Bay under punts. I'm looking at the punt category, and the number that I've already grabbed and is already part of the prop package is 3.5 punts. I'll take Tampa Bay under that. These teams are 5 for 5 going for it on fourth downs. This Kansas City team was 3rd worst in fourth down defense. So why wouldn't Tampa Bay go for it, especially when they get on the other side of the 50? These teams move the ball a lot. I went over the 35 points. This is not going to be a punt match, in my opinion. This is not a field position game. This is a who's going to push the ball down the field and score a touchdown. Whoever gets the most touchdowns, not field goals or not best field position, is going to win this game. Tampa has only punted once over 3.5 times in the playoffs. That was against the Saints when it was very obvious the Saints and Drew Brees were not moving the ball at all. And nobody's punted over 3.5 times against the Chiefs in the postseason. So as far as kicking props, I'm looking at Tampa Bay under 3.5 punts.
Guys, just a couple of more. Ralph, MVP prop, anything?
No, I don't like those. There are a couple that I had in between Prez that I just want to throw in there. I bet number of total rushers, the number is 8, and I bet over.
Yeah.
You look at Kansas City. You talked about Jeff Saturday talked about the number of KC rushers because of people being banged up. You add Hill to the mix. You add Mahomes to the mix. I think they have 5+, and New England's going to have at least 3. So 8 is a push. You win on 9 or more. You lose on that. And then the other one, let's remember, was it Belichick? Was it Brady? The New England mindset with Brady all those years. Brady only scored 3 points in 8 Super Bowls in the first quarter. That's it. He has not been a fast starter. It doesn't mean Arians won't make him a fast starter, but I think more points in the second half than the first. I'll certainly take that edge with KC because we know Mahomes plays to the level of his competition. If Mahomes happens to get behind, he starts lighting it up. So those are 2 I bet that were in weird categories.
Guys, hit that like button, please. Matt, MVP prop. I have nothing. I don't bet those ever. I've never bet one in my life.
I don't necessarily do it because too often it's the quarterback. I just sprinkling a little bit on Leonard Fournette because I think that Leonard Fournette, if he gets 2 or 3 touchdowns, but that's just because of the way I'm playing the game. And once again, that's like a 20th of a unit. It's like the smallest possible bet alongside the touchdown ones. Because as Ralph said, it's a crapshoot. Most times it's the quarterbacks, and so therefore, the quarterbacks, there's not as much value here. So I just put a little bit on Fournette. But I mean, I know it's going to lose, but in my mind, I think Fournette could have a good game.
Calm down, breathe, Andy. Have a sip of the bourbon.
I know it's I love you, Matt. I know it's going to lose, but I bet it anyways. So, no opinion on the MVP. I am saving my goofiest yet one of my more profitable props for the end of the show. So whenever you're ready,
We're ready. I'll go first. I got one last miscellaneous prop for you guys, and it's in keeping with what Ralph was saying. I think the highest scoring half will be the second half, -110. I think there's a lot of value there. We've actually Ralph talks about Tom Brady having slow starts. We've also seen Kansas City this year really struggle to get going in that first quarter as well. We know that Kansas City in the third quarter are lights out. And then we have fourth quarter madness as well. So I think the game will start off slowly, and that'll give us a lot of value on the second half being the highest scoring half at pretty close to even money. I'll go to you, Andy. Miscellaneous props, and this is the end. So give us what you got.
Okay, so I run an audio video production company. Different microphones use different types of screens on the end of their microphones. And the last few years, the books have put up what color will the screen be on the halftime show. What people don't know is these musical artists have contracts with certain microphones. For example, Sennheiser has a black microphone screen on the end of it. Rode and Shure has silver microphone screens.
Andy, we are all like holding our freaking breath right now. This is so good.
Okay, so the Weeknd, the Weeknd is doing the show. I already know who the Weeknd has a contract with. I know what microphone he uses. I am going to wait until after the very first rehearsal to see if that microphone company has signed a deal to be the sponsor of the halftime show. Most times, the artist gets to dictate what microphone they get to use because they want their vocals to sound good. In my prop package, I will tell you which microphone company the Weeknd has a contract with.
You're not
and what
tell
screen
us
color.
Now?
No.
Oh, Ralph, I'll email it to you. I got all access. Oh, you have access too.
I've hit this 2 out of 3 years, and the 1 year I didn't hit it was because they covered the microphone with a windscreen. That was the only year I didn't hit it. I knew what color it was under there, but I didn't cash. They canceled it out. So yes.
Okay, there you go, everyone. Buy Andy's prop package just for that. Matt, you know what kind of gum Tyreek Hill eats on the sideline? Who sponsors him with toothpaste? Anything?
I don't know anything like that. I feel like I should just go home now. I mean, I already am home, but I feel like I should walk outside and then come back in.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to give anything like that. I was just looking at a couple of the cross sport props. I love the cross sport props. I think there's some value there. And, the problem is that not every book offers it. Like the Las Vegas Superbook in your areas, in Ralph's area. Like I saw the Superbook has Chris Paul -0.5 a free throw versus Tom Brady's rushing attempts. And to me, we've seen Chris Paul has a shoot a lot of free throws or shoot no free throws. Well, Tom Brady's not going to rush the ball very much. So to me, I would say that Chris Paul -0.5 free throws comes into play. The last thing I'll say, and I would love everybody else's opinion on this, is the jersey number. I always like the jersey number for the first touchdown. This year it's fascinating because all of the wide receivers are in the tens. Scotty Miller's 10. Evans is 13. Godwin's 14. Tyreek Hill's 10. Mecole Hardman's 17. So it comes down to essentially running backs and tight ends versus the wide receivers. And usually it's the other way around, the wide receivers and tight ends versus running backs. I think there's some value maybe with the running backs, especially to go along with the whole Leonard Fournette thing. But I'd be interested to see what yours and Ralph's and Andy's opinion on that is.
Yeah, I got none. Andy?
No, I want to hear Ralph's because I think it's brilliant. I think it is an absolutely brilliant take.
What I do is I look at who the referee and umpires are going to be, and then I see how their nails are manicured. So when you're flipping the coin for heads and tails at the beginning, if he has 1/8 of an inch of a manicured nail, it comes up heads 52.8% of the time, and only laying one. I'm just kidding. Okay.
We knew that, Ralph.
Do not bet heads or tails, guys.
Bet it if you want, but make sure your juice is like around -102.
Superbook gives you a 102 on juice for heads or tails. So, you know what? I really don't have a best bet. I bet the most on second half over the first, but I'll throw out one more I bet. And this is one that if you look, it makes no sense. Mahomes rushed the ball for 2 touchdowns in the regular season. And I'm getting 3-1. I bet Mahomes will score a rushing touchdown. Just the way he juked that guy in the playoff game. This is Pat Mahomes, who wants to be on the spotlight. Yeah. His coach will let him be on the spotlight. He has those decisions down there. How he ran in the playoffs down at the goal line, again, the stats don't match this. It doesn't make sense. But there's something in Pat Mahomes' eyes when he scores a rushing touchdown. I think it's worth the value. So I did bet it. You're laying 360 on a no. I got +3.5 on a yes that it will score a rushing touchdown.
What a show. What a year. Guys, it's been a privilege to do this. I think we're going on to year 6 next year with the NFL Presidential Address. Andy, thank you for joining us. On behalf of Ralph and Matt, guys, thank you for being with us all year long. We will be back. We will see you next year. Let's end the show the way Ralph started it. Be careful, everybody. This is, I'll tell you as an absolute fact, I will be making larger wagers on my hockey bets this coming Sunday than I will on the Super Bowl. I'm sure Ralph will be betting college basketball on Sunday, even though there's Super Bowl. Matt will be on Tinder, even though there's a Super Bowl. Andy will be drinking his bourbon, even though there's a Super Bowl. So with all that said, this is one game. Be careful. Take care of yourselves. It's been an honor. Guys, see you September.
Thanks, guys. Great year.